Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Country Club Leaders Podcast. Today, our guest is Nicole Chapman from Club Caddie. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you for having me.
So, my first question is, what exactly does Club Caddie do, Nicole?
So, Club Caddie is a cloud-based all-in-one solution for your golf operations. So, we are a software for operations that is all-encompassing, which is a really big problem in the industry. I came from country clubs, and one of our biggest problems was that we were all using different softwares to manage the operations. And what Club Caddie does is it brings everything together. So all your departments are streamlined, transparency is across the board, and you get to work from one cloud-based software. It's fantastic.
So, all departments together, what does that mean? Even food and beverage?
Yep, your food and beverage, your events team, your membership team, your golf shop. I mean, everything. We have everything in one cloud-based operation system. So it's a great way to run a business because again, you're not fractured, you're not compartmentalized anymore. You can come together as a team. You can see events on the calendar across the whole board. Just overall better experience when you're trying to act and be one functioning unit.
And who's your main competitors?
We have Lightspeed. No, not Lightspeed. You know what? I'm on the education side, not the sales side.
Oh, okay.
So for me, I'm like, competition is out there, but I do the education portion of the
Okay, I
operation. I don't
understand.
really
Okay.
deal with that element of it.
Well, actually, in my opinion, you deal with the most important because I'm not very computer literate. So I would need your help if I was still actively working. So when we used to interview vendors for software, club software, I always thought that the food and beverage department was the most complicated. So we always tried to gear our operation or our selection towards the food and beverage department. Have you found the same thing?
You know, it's interesting. I think it depends on the type of facility you have because there's facilities that
Okay.
have very little food and beverage versus,
Right.
and golf is the name of their game. Maybe they have 36 holes, 27 holes. I think it just depends on the facility itself. But food and beverage is definitely the most cumbersome as far as your inventory and keeping track and reporting and all of those fun things.
Right. And then the accounting department would say, look, just get whatever you want. We'll deal with it. But we got to make sure food and beverage is precise.
You worked with really nice accountants then, because the accountants I worked
Really?
with at the facilities I worked were very hands-on. They wanted to know exactly what they were going to be dealing with. So I'm
Really?
laughing.
So so I see what kind of tea time operation do you have in the Club Caddy?
How so? What do you mean? I
Is
think,
it a lottery? Is it first come, first serve? Can you do both?
oh, you can do everything. So we're the actual software that a facility would use. And so we have a ton of customizable options for your T sheet. So, I mean, we can in essence do everything, but we would run your T sheet in essence. And then we would
Okay.
be your point of sale. We would do execute your events all within the software. And the fact that we're cloud based is a big thing. So
Right.
no
Right.
more the need for servers at your facilities. You can now do this all cloud based.
Nice. Nice. So when was the first, how old were you when you first picked up a golf club?
That's a good story. I was 9 years old when I first started playing.
Wow.
Yeah, my
And
mom got me started.
your mother got you started. Okay.
Yeah, so she was the CEO of a credit union, and similar to golf, pretty male dominated industry. And she realized that she was missing opportunities by not being on the golf course. So she decided that she was going to learn to play golf. And there was a little Muni par 3 executive course that we would go to, and she would just bring me along. And I was on the range with her one day, and let me just tell you, I was not gifted in sports. So my mom was looking for something for me to play. And the pro at the time walked up and was like, "Hey, your daughter has a pretty good swing. You know, I give lessons." And the rest is history. And I played competitively for a long time. And that's pretty much been my whole career from to life now. I mean, I'm still in golf operations, but the start was because my mom started.
So what would you say your handicap is right now?
Ooh, what's on paper and what it really is different. So I think right now I'm a 9.8, but I should be about
Okay.
20. I had two kids, and that really ruins your golf swing. So
Right, right, right. Two kids and a job. Right,
to
right.
get some job. And my husband is an avid golfer as well. He's about a 6 right now. When I met him, he was a 4. So we're a big golf family. We're getting our kids into it as well. But when I say I play competitively, I mean I played through college. I got a scholarship. I did the whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
How old are your kids?
I have a 4.5-year-old and a 6-year-old.
Are they both playing right now?
My son is pretty into it. He's a littler, and my daughter, she'll do it. We're gonna get her to play, but we're gonna be a golfing family. We have a club down the street that we belong to, so we really enjoy doing it, and it's fun to do with the kids.
Nice. So you started at 9 years old and you played high school golf? You played on a high school team?
I was actually lucky enough to, we had a team in middle school. So I got to play in middle school. I was the only girl on the team, shocker. And at the time, I was pretty competitive and playing in tournaments. And then when I got to high school, played on the high school team there as well. And then from high school, I got a scholarship to a local college out here, D1, and got to play golf in college on the women's golf team at Cal State Northridge. So I'm a Matador, and I feel really lucky that I got to have that experience. It was a great one.
So give me one good college golf story.
Ooh, okay. So this will more so talk to my personality, and clearly I have no problem talking. But you know, I was on the team. I wasn't the best player by any means. I mean, I went from being a big fish in a little pond to a really small fish in a big pond when I hit college. And there was a trip to go to Hawaii to go play. And
Wow.
typically, you qualify, but I didn't qualify. I missed it by a stroke. And the person who beat me, personality wise, didn't jive with the team as well. So I definitely convinced my coach that I would be a better fit to go to Hawaii and play. And I got to go. Oh, I I got to go play a college trip in Hawaii, and it was awesome, and I really had a good time with it. But that's probably one of my best stories as far as using the gift of gab
Very
instead of my
good.
full skill set.
Very good. Did the other person protest at all or what?
Oh, I'm sure she wasn't very happy about it. I had a pretty big personality on the team. I was older, I was more seniored, so
There was reasons, team chemistry.
team chemistry. And at that time, when you're playing college golf, you are living and dying and eating and breathing that sport. And so
Right.
I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go. I want to go to Hawaii.
Very good. So what degree did you graduate college with?
I graduated with a communications degree,
Nice.
also
Nice. Okay.
shocking.
So you're playing golf, you graduate college, and now what's your first job out of college?
So I did mention my mom was the CEO of a credit union. So my first job out of college was for a credit union, actually, and it was in their marketing department. And at that time, I was pretty burned out of golf. I definitely was like, I don't need to play golf anymore. I was definitely burned out at that time. And so I got into the credit union world, and I also realized that that world wasn't for me either. And so about a year and a half into it, and my mom definitely helped me get the job. She knew other CEOs and all that fun stuff. But after about a year and a half, I realized that I wanted to be back in the golf industry. I was never going to go pro. I wasn't going to be a teacher, but there was a position that I found as the membership relations director at a private club in Los Angeles. And so I applied for it. I did everything I could to be noticed. I got the interview and they hired me. So that was pretty quick out of college. My first job being it's managed by a corporation called American Golf. The golf course I worked at was Mountain Gate Country Club.
Right.
And I worked there for 3 months before they ended up letting go of the sales director. And again, I'm a freshly graduated college student, and they were like, "Hey, why don't you step up and act as the salesperson?" And I didn't think sales was going to be the thing for me. I didn't have any interest in it. I was more on the marketing side of things. But I got convinced to do it, and I did it for a couple months, and then eventually I got talked into taking the job full time, and then I became the director of sales at that club, and I was there for a long time. I was there for about 6 years, and I learned a lot. That taught me a lot of good lessons. You know, all the things that you learn when you're young and you're trying to figure out how to act like an adult and have a real job. Um,
Right.
but I also had a lot of fun. We had a really good team at the time too. And so I was young. I played golf all the time. I played with the members. My party trick was I'd be in stiletto heels and I'd hit a drive, and that was what
Wow.
I was really good at. I could hit the ball really far. I have a
Right.
terrible short game. I mean, I'm awful. My dad used to say, my dad has like a million quotes for golf. And he used to always tell me, he's like, man, you are illiterate. Like, I cannot read greens. So, but I can hit the ball. Like, I mean, I realize I'm awful at it. My husband will say the same thing. So, but I can hit the
That's a good
ball.
line. I never heard that line before. You're
Oh yeah,
illiterate.
I got a million of them because of them. But but I inevitably, when I was in college, I was probably hitting about 270, 265. So that was a good party trick to have. And I would be able to do it in heels and all the fun stuff. And I was much younger at the time.
Right.
So,
Impressive.
and
So,
that was good.
not to go backwards a little bit, what was the first job you ever had in your whole life?
Oh, so my mom had a rule with me. I take that back. I did have summer jobs, but because I took golf so seriously at such a young age, she always told me as long as I was playing competitively and I was playing in tournaments and traveling for all that stuff, that I didn't have to get a job. But my first like real job that was awful was I was a hostess at Islands, the restaurant chain.
Okay.
It's
Even
funny.
that fits you, it seems like, because you're a pretty talkative person. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I was in sales for a long time, and it wasn't until recently that I transitioned over.
So now you're a membership sales director, which I think would be a perfect job for you. And where do you go from there after 6 years?
So the GM at the time ended up getting another position at another local club, and this one was member owned. So very small, about 350 members. So big difference because I was going from a corporate managed club to which had like 900 members to a very small one. So I took the opportunity to go over there and realized quickly that it was. How about this? The accounts department was still using a paper and pencil ledger. And I was like, oh, okay. So there was some updating, right? And some need to modernize a little bit. And so I was brought over there and got to act as the membership director there. And I was there for about 2 years. And the funny story is that's where I met my husband.
Nice, nice.
And so I feel really lucky I got that opportunity, but I promised myself I was never going to date members. I would never get into that world. But I ended up finding my husband and have two beautiful kids. So it all worked out. And I quickly, after realizing that we were becoming very serious, asked for my job back at the club that I was at previously. So I went back to the other country club
Oh,
uh,
nice.
that I had
Okay.
left, and they thankfully welcomed me back. But from there, again, I stayed there for another 2 years. And then after that, I then got recruited over to a higher end member owned club as well called North Ranch out here in Los Angeles. And was there for the remaining part of my career until I got to Club Caddie. So I pretty much did membership sales for almost a little over a decade. So
You know what I always thought was tricky with membership sales was the compensation format or setup. So how were you compensated at the last club that you worked at?
so all the clubs were a little different, but it was commissioned with a base. And every year was a little different. And I was there for COVID. So that was a very eye-opening experience that I hadn't had, which is I had never not made commissions. You know, and so that whole experience to go from not knowing anything and all of the procedures that clubs had to go through and endure being the first thing that was available and open to the public. That was a challenging time. It was really
Yeah, it
difficult
was.
to try and navigate your members who are dying to get out and experience anything at the time, while also trying to take all the precautions for your staff and do all of the things that were required to come back to work and the masks and how are we going to manage this. And so I was there for that part of it, which, as most facilities, took a toll. It took a toll on everybody, and
Right,
navigating
right,
that. And then the year after was explosive in the golf industry.
right, right,
I
right,
I don't think I've ever sold more memberships in my life. I mean, it was crazy. Um,
right.
and so yeah, it was an interesting kind of sunset to my career, because after that explosive year, I was like, yeah, I think it's time for me to transition into something else that's outside of membership. But I laugh because of what your show is. I've been in country clubs. My whole career was in country clubs and experiencing various versions of it, the corporate style, the little tiny member owned club, and then to go to a more prestigious member owned club that had a lot more kind of clout in the area and things like that. So, understanding boards and navigating every department and members and expectations. And I've been through it all, I've done the ringer.
Yeah, me too. And it's interesting, that's for sure.
It is.
So, was there any jealousy when the floodgates opened after COVID and you were signing up all these members and your commission probably was going through the roof?
That's a good question. So, was there jealousy? Maybe. I tended to really try and take care of the people around me that supported me. So when I sold a ton, I knew that it was going to hurt the accounting department because they had to take on the lift of processing all of the applications, getting everything
Right. Good
set
point.
up,
Good point.
and all of those. So anytime I did really well, I was always very generous in gift cards and thanking the people that would help
Good
me
idea. Good
and help
idea.
me be successful, because it doesn't work. It doesn't work unless everyone's willing to support you. And you can sell anything, but if the next step is going to hurt you and the people who need to be accommodating and on board and all of those things, the head pro, the tennis directors, if they're not going to be a part of the team, then it's never going to work. So I really tried to be cautious of that as well.
Yeah, my experience, they got a little jealous when the floodgates opened after COVID, but they forgot, the dry periods before
And
COVID, you know?
well, and that was it. It was more the board, I think, initially, of course, you have your monthly reports and your budgeting and all of this. I think they were a little shell shocked when the numbers started to come out. But there was also a gentle reminder that the previous year there was nothing, and
Right,
I had to
right.
survive through that. So, everybody was understanding, and I was incredibly lucky because I worked for a club that really did care and they took care of me, and there wasn't a lot of animosity in that. So I do
Good,
feel really lucky. I've worked with some phenomenal people in my career.
good. That's good to hear. Good to hear. So you finish up at the prestigious private club, and then you go to Club Caddie.
I did take a gap. I'm going to be very transparent right now. I had two young children at the time. The club was demanding more and more time that I just didn't have anymore. And as everybody knows, member events and everything that takes you away and you want to be present was taking me away from my family more than I think I was ready for. And so I decided that it was probably time for me to find something that would allow me to be home a little bit more. And I did insurance for a year, and that was not a good fit for me.
Yeah, that's a big change. Yeah, yeah.
My husband's a wealth manager, and so it kind of paralleled and made sense at the time. But after getting in the industry, I realized that wasn't a good fit and not something I think I could really fully invest myself into. And um, I came across, I was desperate to find something else. And I knew golf was my background, my entire career. But I didn't want to go back into the country club world if I could pull myself out, because I knew by the point that I was at in my career that I should have been an assistant GM or have been working towards a general manager position. But I also understood with the time that I would need to dedicate to do that. And so LinkedIn had a post for this position at Club Caddie, and the position I actually applied for was for an implementation role, which is the person who onboards you as you're getting the software into your club, and gets that data and gets you set up through a process in which you streamline the transition. And I reached out to a couple people, and I wrote a very heartfelt note explaining how much I desperately know that this was going to be a good fit for me, and to give me a chance. And they did. And so I had my first interview with Nathan, who's my direct report, and he's the VP of implementation. And we connected, and then had a couple more interviews. And through the process, they ended up coming back to me, and they're like, we don't want to hire you for that, but we have something else that we'd like you to consider. And education was a piece that they wanted to start to bring in, because I think, as everyone knows, it's such a valuable part of software. It's very difficult to transition and learn a
Yeah.
whole new
Yes.
operating system. And so what I loved about Club Caddie was they knew and they wanted to invest in that. And it helped that my personality and my background of knowing what it's like to be on the green grass side and experience all of the woes and ups and downs and understandings of not only trying to incorporate new software, but all the various personalities that you need to train at a facility. I mean, you're training cart guys, you're training tennis pros, accountants. I mean, the range is so big. So they gave me that opportunity, and it's been fantastic. I love what I do, and I love the thoughts of training people and trying to find various learning methods to teach the immense amount of different learners that are out there, and adult learning and online and remote and all these variables. And because look, nobody wants to learn software, but let's try and make it fun. Like, how can we make this fun for everybody? Because I mean, you've been in clubs. When you've had to change softwares and sit through those meetings, they can be a little tough. And I've been on the other side. I had to experience them, and I was like, we're going to make this more fun and more engaging. And so that's been really the focus right now. And so we were able to create pretty quickly a lot of online content and training, and it's always being refined and added, but it's been a really, really fun process. And I think honestly, in our world, we do it the best. I mean, golf operational software is a niche industry to begin with. And so as far as investing in education and training and onboarding and taking the time to make sure that we're going to teach it right so that you have a successful onboarding process, because if you don't, then you're not going to use the software. If you don't use the
Right.
software, then you're going to leave. So the whole thought process is, let's invest a lot of time in making sure that this beginning stages are really enjoyable, or as enjoyable as they can be.
Right. So you must be really patient, I'm assuming.
So I get the joy of creating online videos and courses. So I actually don't really deal with the
Oh,
operators
okay.
themselves. I just
Okay.
get to do all the fun stuff.
Yeah, I enjoyed because all this computer stuff started rolling in when I was a general manager.
Hmm.
So as a general manager, I kind of stood back and let my staff get into the nuts and bolts of it, so I didn't have to get too deep into it. Thank goodness.
Oh, and it's a whole new world now with
Yeah.
AI. So, I mean, the technology advances that are happening right now are extraordinary and at a very, very fast pace. And Club Caddie is starting to come up with a solution to incorporate AI into the software. And I'm fairly sure it'll be the first of any golf operational softwares to go down that path, because it will be so much easier for operators to utilize the data that's in their software to
Wow.
better
Wow.
understand their customers, understand their own pricing dynamics, and be able to really tangibly use the data that operation software operations really
So
hopes to
a
have it.
so AI can dig into the information. You can ask AI a question and it will give you the answer.
So imagine a world where you can say, what are my most popular tea times? And you
Wow.
instantly have an answer. Or,
Wow.
I mean, so that is the future of
Rather than digging through all that data yourself, AI
exactly,
can.
trying to sort it in
Wow,
Excel, trying
how good
to
is that?
analyze it. Yeah. So this is a big step that, and something Jason, the CEO, has taken a big leap on. And it's all to make it much easier for the operation itself to focus on the most important thing, which is the customers and the members. And
And
now you,
saves time too.
oh yeah, and they can make better informed decisions. If you
Yeah.
don't know, you know, how much should I charge for a tea time on a Saturday based on utilization? You're guessing. This is going to help really take the guesswork out of it. And that's a incredible thing to think about as far as how technology is advancing.
Or what's your hottest lunch item, or what's your most
Exactly.
popular dinner item?
What's your least popular? Let's remove it from the menu.
Right, right, right,
What's
right, right.
cost,
Very good.
what's, all of those things are things to consider. And mining that data is the key to it. And we're already doing it. The software exists in that data. You just have to be able to hone it. So
So I'm retired now, and I'm already feeling I should go back to work.
I mean, it's crazy how quick. And it's, I've gone to a couple conferences, and forgive my dog is in the back. Gone to a couple conferences, and you can tell there is such a need for more understanding of technology in golf industry. I mean, I think everyone knows who's been in the industry. It's an outdated industry typically. It's usually slow to adapt to more technology. And even with marketing and the ability and tools that are out there to automate a lot of this, to promote your facility, to promote times, to do all of these things, um, is becoming much easier. And there is such a need and a thirst for people wanting to understand that more. And the conference, so Jason does a ton, the CEO does a ton of conferences and talks about the tech side of these things. And the room is always packed. And it's really interesting to see because operators are now really trying to see and understand how this is going to benefit them and their operations. And it's going to, it really will. When you understand your customers and your members more, you can make better decisions and do create better processes, better communication pieces, very directed to your target markets that you're shooting for. You know, you want to market a family event that should only, be marketed to those with families, and vice versa. So you get to really funnel the information in a way that really speaks to the right customer and the right member.
I was just thinking it might be off topic a little bit. Are you familiar with the company Club Benchmarking?
Not off the top of my head.
So they
Oh,
they
tell me more.
I used to use them for compensation information from like clubs,
Hmm.
uh, all kinds of financial information from clubs that were similar to ours. But it was a little difficult, what you call mining the data. Uh, and I couldn't call them every time I needed information. But if they had this AI hooked up to their system, man, it would have been easier. What is everybody paying their director of golf? That at a club that has a similar revenue amount as our club does.
And you can do that today. You can,
Right?
yeah,
Exactly.
you
Man, that
can
would
do that
help.
today. Isn't that crazy how
Yeah.
and it's evolving very quickly?
So, and I just had another question about your side of it. And I just can't remember it now. Anyway, so what do you have? Do you have the pads that you can walk up, a waiter or server can walk up to a table and punch it in on a tablet, the orders?
We do. There's devices where you can do that. And one of the other fun projects we're working on is a self-serve kiosk. So a member could walk in, check themselves in. And there's always a little bit of hesitation because I think people worry about the customer experience or the member experience and worry that you're not getting that face time. And being in the industry for so long and being such a member centric and focused person that I was, you actually get to have better conversations because now you're not going through the rigmarole of like, okay, let's check you in, Bob. You ready? Da da da. Now that person can easily check themselves in, and now you can say, hey, I saw that you like Pro Vs because the data is going to tell you that this person buys Pro Vs. And now instead of having a conversation about bringing them in, you're going to be like, ah, do you need an extra sleeve of Pro Vs? So you get to create a unique customer experience now that's tailored to that person. And you can use that information to do that and take some of the rigmarole out of it and really hone in on the person themselves and cater to them. Hey, I know you like, Jack and Cokes. Would you like me to order you one and get it sent to your cart? I mean, think about that experience. How much better that.
Right.
So
Right.
there's endless possibilities. It's really exciting.
Right. Right. What about the screens inside the kitchen? You know, the order pops up in front of the cook and the
KDS.
server, and they're all on the same page.
We integrate with the great KDS. So we have that ability, and it's really nice because what it'll do is it'll organize the tickets, and it'll also let you know the time of these tickets if they're, and you can course those meals. So now the server has control to tell the kitchen, and the kitchen can very easily understand this is the appetizers, this is the entree, this is the timing. And again, we're talking about the customer member experience. You're now creating a really fluid experience for them because you're giving and providing the information to the kitchen in a flow that the customer wants. And it's all done right at the table. They'll walk up with their tablet, they'll take their order, they'll make the notes, they'll time it out, they can send it at the time. So if you're a server and you see they're done with their appetizer, you can now send the entrees. And the kitchen will know, all right, it's time to fire the entrees. And same with that. So it's
Yeah, I
really
like those a lot because when I would walk in the kitchen, I would check those screens to see how they were doing. You know, how quickly they're
done.
getting the food out, basically.
Oh, I remember ticket times. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, I know that well.
because without that, sometimes because they were embarrassed, they wouldn't tell you the proper times. You know, oh, we're doing great. You know, and then you look at well, it says right here you're not doing so great. You know, let's how are we going to speed this up a little bit? You know.
Oh, it's fantastic. So all on one screen, you can see that green, red, very easy to
Right,
know
right,
who's
right, right,
behind or not.
right. Uh, so I guess the only thing I had a problem with, or our staff had a problem with, at the tables, we had the tablets, but it never went over well. We always ended up, taking the order on a piece of paper and then going back to the point of sale and punching it in. Has that improved at all?
Well,
I've
I
only
would
been out a year, but has it improved?
well, I would argue that the education side would really greatly contribute to helping that. But no,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. It's come leaps and bounds, and as long as you have a good network, right, your Wi-Fi and all your internet connections are strong and you have high speeds, then it's all very instant. It's great,
Right, right,
easy to
right.
understand, very easy viewing as well. So UI, user interface, and how you view these things and making it as easy and the workflow is simple for servers to just boom, 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 boom is the name of the game. And that's what we focus on constantly.
So if I'm the chef or the person that orders the food, can I use AI to place my orders every week or every day?
We're not there yet. We're not.
That would be great.
But imagine, but what we do have is, let's say you're the beverage cart, you're out on the golf course. You can absolutely send in an order for someone. So let's say they're on the eighth hole, they want a sandwich. The cart person can go ahead and type that in and send it to the kitchen, and the kitchen will get it. And by the time they make the turn, it's waiting for them. That's definitely available and can
Or you could have a golfer's point of sale maybe on the eighth tee or something, and they could punch in their own order possibly.
absolutely. You see carts with that. The touch screens on the
Right,
cart,
right, 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 right,
they do
right,
that
right,
as
right,
well. Yeah.
right. Uh, so why couldn't they use AI to do the ordering? Because you have the data there.
Oh, so when I say we're working on the data, we're working on AI. It's a big, big project. There's a lot behind it. And I'm going to be very honest, much smarter people than me are the ones working on it. But you, in essence, you have to create all the back end of it. And that back end algorithms to understand how to interpret the data and tell it what to do is
Right.
and to output is really that piece that you need to build. And that takes an incredible amount of mapping and pulling from various places to then comprise the answer that you're looking for. But to map
Right.
all the variables that come with that it's definitely a process, and one that's going to take time, but it's something that we're focused on as well.
Right. I'm
And
just thinking the ordering part, like the chef or whoever he had ordering the food, it was a pretty time consuming job, and you had to
oh,
do it right.
oh
And
yeah,
I'm also and
I
I'm
feel
also
like
thinking the golf
whoops.
course superintendent, they're ordering the same stuff every year based on weather and AI can probably put all that together too.
That's exactly it. So imagine if you could, down to the centimeter or millimeter, understand how much water you have. And so I'm in California. Water is a really big deal here because it's very expensive.
Right,
And
right.
so if you can now interpret weather patterns and what that means for your sprinkler
Yeah,
system,
yeah.
when how much water, and I mean, there's so many things and
Oh
capabilities.
man,
It's
that's
really
unbelievable.
fascinating.
I
Um,
use AI quite a bit, and what you're saying, I can see happening. Just a matter of time.
this time. And we're bringing it to an industry again that, tends to be slower in this progression. But I feel like when that switch is made, just the
Wow.
ease of decision making really and understanding, you don't have to guess so much anymore. It's
Right, 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 right. And like you're saying too, it does give you more time to interact with people,
that's
which
it.
is which is which is basically that's the bottom line of any business. Whether you're a manager working with your staff or a manager working with customers, you got to interact with people.
Well, and it's all about the customer experience and the member
Right,
experience. You want them leaving saying, "Wow, that was great. They knew my name, they knew my preferences, they knew the drink I liked, the balls that I liked." Like, I mean, the customer experience that you're going to be able to create will be so unique to that
right.
individual person. I have to ask you, what software were you using when you left?
We were using, it wasn't Jonas.
Have you,
What the hell was it? I can't even remember. It was cloud based. It was one of the first ones that were cloud based, and I can't come up with the name off the top of my head right now.
I don't know.
Uh, I think they were based out of India, actually.
Oh, now you have my curiosity very piqued right now.
It's a big name in the industry. I just can't remember it right now.
Was it a full operational software? Or was it like four T's where it just managed your T sheet
It was full operation.
operations? Let's see. I was worked with Club Essentials. And there's Jonas, of course. I don't know.
They were making a big move in the industry. They were taking a lot because I think they were the first ones that were cloud based.
Oh, I feel like I'm like, are you sure it wasn't Club Caddie? No.
What the heck was it? But anyway, they still have it too because we some of the staff didn't like it and they wanted to go back to Jonas. And Jonas had become cloud based, or because you're associated with Jonas. So how are you associated with Jonas?
So Club Caddie was acquired by Jonas. I want to say about this is a better question for Jason, but we were acquired by Jason or by Jonas not too long ago, and that partnership has been really, really good. And so it's not competitive in the sense that yes, they do have, but their portfolio has a massive amount of software companies that cater. I mean, there's for massage parlors or for spa places. So there's a whole suite of softwares that they manage and oversee in a single department, and we're in there as well as some other golf operational softwares. But um, all in all, what's nice about Club Caddy, and again, I hate to say this, but as somebody who worked on the green grass side, it was really tough because for scheduling purposes or for understanding double booking events at your club. I mean, that those things happen because your events is using one software and they're booking private events. And then you have the membership team planning member events. And if they accidentally book on the same day because they didn't communicate well enough and you didn't make it easy to see that that date was booked, That's what this solution fixes. It makes it so that every department is now within one ecosystem, and it makes it transparent. Your whole operations becomes transparent to everybody, and you can see globally your entire facility. And that's the game changer. I worked in 3 different softwares almost at every club I was at because I did the member events and because of the sales process and then the accounting software. This puts it all in one home, and the reporting that you're able to do because it's all now in one system is amazing. Again, we go back to just having that data to really show your facility as a whole globally, and it just provides you the opportunity for such better decision making.
So you just said double booking events. So a friend of mine, he was the director of golf at a club, at a public facility. And the owner of the facility said, you know, you're doing a great job. I'm going to make you general manager, right? So his start date was, let's say, May 15th. So on May 16th, they had a wedding. And actually, they had 2 weddings on that day. So his second day on the job, 2 weddings show up. And he was only prepared, and somehow they had to make it work. They had to hire extra staff, get food in there right away, and I guess the property was big enough where they could keep the 2 parties apart. But that always, like, I went through some tough stuff in the golf business, in the club business, but that had to be
I mean,
torture.
there's been double bookings, but it's been caught before the day of.
Yeah, this wasn't caught.
So I'm gonna go back. Having it all under one umbrella, it makes it much much more transparent. Like you would know. I'm
I'm thinking
dying
of
right
having
now.
I'm
My
thinking of having him
anxiety.
on the podcast just to tell that story.
Oh gosh, my anxiety is high. I'm not even affiliate. I mean, my anxiety is high for that situation. Our bride was very upset that day, is what you're telling me. Like,
But
and that's it. Imagine the staffing, because we've all done it in the operation side, right? We didn't have enough staff because we have this event going on and this event going on, and we just didn't link the two well enough. Um, this just fixes so many internal problems in that sense when you have everything streamlined in one place. It's just so much
so
better.
being on the membership side, how would AI help you on the membership side?
Oh, so many ways. I'll start with some of the easiest, which is going to be controlling and communicating the various groups of membership types that you have. So now you're not having to send out blanket communications. You can really
Right, right, right.
pinpoint. If you only want to talk to your equity members, you can send communications very easily that way. And there's there's tools and things to do that now, but it just makes it easier. If you have an event that you really want to try and focus on families, you're going to communicate to families. You can utilize past information, market to the families that have come before, junior camps, all of these things to sell more. I mean, that's really what you're talking about, right? And then you can also utilize it for lost business. And in sales, as you know, sometimes it's not the right time, but you want to have those touch points in the future and say, hey, just, we're still here. Here's a little thing about what's going on. And it just makes those things so much easier. And you can communicate in a way that's much better and not so forced. So that's a really simple way. And then reporting, simple reporting. I used to have to do all the board reports for membership my entire career, and pulling those numbers just to find out how many members in each class that I had was a manual task. It was awful. Those little things that are what I consider very time consuming, I was spending hours doing that when I could be selling. So, in just that scope, how you market now, all of that can be done so much easier and so much more compartmentalized and really target focused on who you're trying to communicate to. So, you're not over communicating as well. So, you don't have to worry about so many opt outs or lack of engagement because you're over communicating the wrong things. Those are simple examples, but the use cases are kind of endless
Yeah,
in just
you really got me going with this artificial intelligence. That's going to be a game changer.
It,
Unbelievable.
it really will be. And I'm excited about it. And Club Caddie as a software and as an operational tool is so so helpful. And AI isn't incorporated yet. It's we're starting that process. But what they're doing is they're analyzing your data. And I think that's a really hard thing because we're golfers. We're not necessarily the most tech savvy of industries. We're not Excel proficient all the time. And so we just want to golf and we want to have an enjoyable experience for people, or simulators, and now we can go down a whole path of that. But um trying to utilize that data was really difficult to manage because you're just sorting in Excel and trying to read it,
Right, right, right,
and now even with the reporting that we have available in Club Caddie, and again, this isn't me bragging about the company, this is me really saying, I wish I had these reports when I,
right,
when I was working in membership. And one of my favorite new features that we just released is the ability for an online application that directly goes into your POS. So you can sell a membership online, obtain all the information that you need, and receive payment. You've just taken a huge time-consuming portion of not only
right,
directors, but an accounting department's job, and streamlined it into one step. And
right.
as a previous membership director, I would have loved to have had that option. And it flows directly into the software, and it's in the accounting and the reporting. It's amazing. And we're only building on it more and more now.
I know when we used to have meetings and have to make decisions, whether it be with members or board members or committee members or staff members, sometimes they became emotional decisions and who could spin it the best rather than data-based facts, to make a decision. And if you can use AI to speed up the process of coming up with facts, boy, it would make it a whole lot easier.
Well, and I definitely I can relate to that. And I remember sitting as a membership director, decisions being made purely based on emotion because it was somebody's friend, or
Right,
it
right,
was and what's nice is, I mean, we don't even need AI in our software now to give you that kind of information, to really provide you the strong reporting and numbers that you need to really stand on, and kind of remove that politics out of it, if you will.
right.
I mean, and yes, it's emotionally based, and it's difficult to sometimes manage that when boards are members, and that's just the nature of the beast. But as a general manager or head of a department, you would have a lot more ground to stand on because of the reporting that we could provide, honestly.
And I'm just thinking now, like people would push for events, members would push for events, or committee or board would push for events that you knew they were going to be duds,
Oh
but
yeah,
because they liked it, we had to do it. It would be nice. Hey, look, here's the report. That theme type of event or that customer that you want to have this event for, it's going to be a dud. Why should we do this?
and participation, and what's even better is then once you have the data in front of you and you can see this is a dud, and if they're really pushing for it and they want to do it, then let's find a way to make it better. What in our other events, or what is it in these other events that made them more successful? Was it the time of year?
Right,
Was
right,
it food consumption, the alcohol? Because like, all of those things that you can easily pull out of these reports to factor those in. So
right. Good
data,
point.
data, data. I am a geek for data.
So I looked on your LinkedIn page and it said you optimize processes. Now, what does that mean?
So as some of the people in my company would know, I am a very process-oriented person. I like to create very efficient, repeatable processes. And
Good stuff.
yes, and that is the key to being successful and saving time, right? We don't have to
Absolutely.
reinvent the wheel every time. Let's just make
Absolutely.
it consistent and repeatable and a good experience. And you can still do that while being genuine and unique and, still giving those personal touches. But yes, I very much so love processes. Give me the check boxes that we need to do it. And I also think it's really important to create streamlined communication so that every person at your facility is saying the same thing and it's the same message being conveyed. So, one of the other features I really like that we have is the way that you're able to communicate to your members or your customers. So, we have something called bulletin boards. We have banner notes on our T sheet or through our member portal. You have the ability to communicate on top or the bottom about whatever you need to. So if you're overseating, course closure, upcoming event you need to sell more of, you can put that right on the top of where your members are going already to bring it straight to them rather than them having to go through your system to try and find the information. So what I love about Club Caddie, and this is a big thing, is we do a ton of new releases. We are constantly enhancing, and I think we do it more than anybody because I also am in charge of the new release communications, and thankfully to a very strong team who explains all of these to me. But it's the feedback that we get from customers that is what drives us to do these new enhancements. And what it really the feedback is trying to make it as easy for your customers and your members to absorb the information that you're trying to give them. The other thing that I love is the way that you can easily communicate to, let's say, your entire T sheet. Let's a mainline breaks. Your sprinklers course has got to be closed. In one click, you can email your entire T sheet. Course is closed, sprinkler break,
Nice.
whatever it is,
Nice.
and send out that communication instantly. So to have the ability to communicate so efficiently and it's huge in my opinion. Those are
Yeah.
tools that I wish I had had when I was working at the facilities that I worked at.
And I think I saw that you can text everybody or you can select who you text in your system.
There's some, yes, we can do that. And we can also, well, we're incorporating some things for that, but yes. And then we also have, of course, app capabilities. So now everything is on an app. So your facility can have an app that directly links to your T sheet, all the events, and makes it very easy to, again, the communication and how people are absorbing information is not on a desktop anymore. It's on their phones. And so you want to make your facility as easy to book and spend money and do all those things. And you want to make it so that they can do that easily. And their phones are the easiest way to do that. So we have the ability to have an app. We can manage your marketing for you, which is a really big struggle that facilities have is you don't have a dedicated marketing person who has a degree in design at your golf course, typically.
Right.
And creating those communication pieces is very time consuming. So
So
we
do you
also
create do you create websites?
we do absolutely. So we have a managed marketing service. It's a separate feature that we have, and the team that runs it is fantastic. They're brilliant, and they do such good work. If you saw
And
some
it
of the things
ties in with your whole software package?
absolutely. Well, it's an add-on, but it's one of the most the ROI on marketing is huge. And if to spend the money to really market out and have nice pieces and communicated out in a drip campaign or in ways that are going to be engaging to people who want to book that and spend more money at your facility. We do that for you and we take that lift off of the facility because again, I think it's one of the weakest things that facilities struggle with is marketing because it's not a tool that most facilities have a dedicated person for because it's expensive. The market is expensive and the design is expensive and the person to do it is expensive. So we can do that for you.
So you said it's an add-on, but it ties right in with your system though.
Yep. Well, yep. We can do
Because
and
I think one of the challenges we were having, we would like one company for one thing, but they didn't have the ability to do a website for us. And we wanted something to jive it all together.
we are your one-stop
There
solution.
you go. Very good. And I just remembered the name of the company. The software company was North Star.
Oh, North Star. I haven't I don't know. I haven't ever been in that software before. I've heard of it, but I haven't been in there. So I unfortunately can't give you a comparative analysis of the two, but
They're pretty new to the industry, but they've been making leaps and bounds in the past, I guess, 5 or 10 years, I guess.
oh, good to know. I'm gonna take a little gander
Yeah.
after this.
Uh, How many people work for Club Caddie anyway?
So it's a relatively new company in the sense of it's a startup. It's been around for a long time, but because it was just recently acquired, the team expanded exponentially in the last 2 years. And so right now we're about 30 US based employees. We also have a few in Canada. And then we also have a development team that does all of our development and the behind the scenes code and all the really deep stuff. And that's the India team. And they have about 30 as well.
So it's an arm of Jonas, but you're a standalone business, even though Jonas owns you.
Yeah, so Jonas is fantastic. Their method to acquiring businesses is that they're never going to get rid of the business unless you have no customers. So there's this really nice understanding that they're not just acquiring you to take your technology and run. They're in it for the long game. And so they have some fantastic people that work with Jason, the CEO, and they develop and strategize to going from a startup and really developing into a full-fledged, how do we get this to be the next huge company with hundreds of employees? And it's a developmental process and guidance that they provide as well. But they let us do what we're great at. And
Very good.
they give us that flexibility. And it's really a great dynamic that is created there. I cannot speak more proudly of the way that they build these relationships.
Very good. Good. Let me see what I have here. Any other questions? You covered your messaging system, and that's basically weather updates too, I guess.
We'll get there.
Uh, Rangefinder tools. What's that all about?
We have it. We absolutely have it. So what's really, same GPS strategy. So when you're out on the golf course and you want to see how many yards you are from the pin, it's going to tell you right on your phone through your app, your facilities app.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
really good.
Oh,
That's really good.
it's really nice. You'd think it'd shave a couple more strokes off my game, but it doesn't. Doesn't matter. You tell me it's 100 yards, I'm still going to shank it. But yeah, so that range finding capability is really nice. You've created, in essence, a GPS on your phone to utilize and play the golf course.
Through the club's app.
Do the clubs? Mhm.
Wow. So I've only been out of the business for less than a year. That's got to be different from a lot of other software systems. I never heard anybody having that before.
There's a few that have it, and there's some third parties that you can do, but we've integrated it into ours.
Yeah, and the club app, that's outstanding. Yeah. Uh, Live scoring system. What's that all about?
So live scoring, as a college player, this would have been really helpful as well. So let's say there's a tournament going on, and again, through the app, you're going to keep your score of your round, but simultaneously, you also are giving that information to the pro shop. So let's say, I don't know, there's a big tournament, guys are coming in, women are coming in, and you can see in real time, just like on TV, where the scorings are. They're on the 16th hole, they're, -2. So it's live scoring because you're entering it directly into the app, and it's going to immediately tell people, oh, okay, this is where you're at. It's going to show that information, and then you can in real time know, oh man, he just birdied. Like, I'm in trouble. I might need to warm up and go play some extra holes, or those kinds of things.
So Nicole, what I'm getting at all this is Jonas is a very highly thought of name in the club industry for sure. And what you're describing, like you said it yourself, is a one-stop shop for all this, for all these different ways of serving clubs. It sounds incredible. It really does. So now, from what I'm getting at, all of it comes down to you now. You got to train everybody how to use this stuff.
I do. And I'm going to try and make it as fun as possible because, look, I understand it's a little dry. I am very, it's
But
not exactly
it sounds
fun.
exciting though. You got a great product here.
It's great. I really am. I feel incredibly lucky to be a part of this team. And
Yeah.
internally, it's this great group of people. And it's really, the way that the culture is that everybody's a part of the team. Everyone can have ideas and contribute, and everybody does. Everyone really works hard for the same goals. It's really incredible. I have to admit, like I am getting tingles even talking about it, but that's truly how I feel. It's just a a really great company to work for and be a part of. I'm excited for all of what's coming, really.
Yeah, because I know that the club I was at, we try to stay on the cutting edge, but it was fragmented, all the different companies that we had to deal with to do what we wanted to do.
And none of
And
them talk to each other. You
right, you're
never
doing it all under one house. Yeah, it's
and you can
beautiful.
never have good data. How do you make good decisions if you don't have good data?
Very good. Very good. So, what would you tell someone 21 years old, just getting out of college, and they want to get into the club industry? What advice would you give that person?
Oh man, I would say love what you're gonna do and enjoy people, especially if you're at a facilities side of it. You know, love people, love getting to know people, and make sure that you love the passion of the game and um, make it as fun as possible. You know, you don't have to stick in a mold. It's definitely more fun when it's fun for you, and that will shine no matter where you are. If you're having a good time and you're smiling, everyone is going to smile around you, and it's the truth. It just is.
Right, right. Well, this was great, Nicole. I learned a lot, and I think you have a bright future ahead of you with Club Caddie. And thank you for coming on today
Thank you
and
so
and
much. It was a complete joy. Thank you.
and giving your time. And best of luck to you in the future. And we'll have to have another conversation maybe in another year, and see how you're making out.
Absolutely. I would love it. I would absolutely love it. Well, thank you so much. And this has been so much fun and happy to talk to you in a year.
All right. Have a good day, Nicole.
You too. Bye, Leo.
Bye bye.